Hi everyone, my name is Deborah Johnson and today I will be sharing about, are you allowing God to prune you? God doesn't just prune you to hurt you. He prunes you to grow you. If you stay connected to Him, what He removes will make room for something greater in your life. Have you ever had something removed from your life that didn't feel good, but later realized it was necessary? Something could be such as a relationship that had ended, a job that didn't work out, a door closed. At that moment, it feels like loss, but in God's hands, it's actually pruning. God is not punishing you, He is preparing you. In John 15, 1 to 2 and verse 4 to 5, it says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, He takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, He prunes, so that it may bear more fruit. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. God is the gardener. He knows what needs to go. God sees what we don't see. Sometimes we're holding on to the things that look good, but God knows that they are blocking growth. In Hebrews 12:11, it says, Now, no chastening seems to be joyful for the present, but painful. Nevertheless, afterward it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. If we look at Joseph in the Old Testament in Genesis, he had dreams of greatness. Then there was betrayal, that he was sold, he was imprisoned. That was pruning in his life. God had removed comfort, familiarity, and control so that he could develop character, integrity, and leadership. If God didn't prune Joseph, he couldn't handle the palace. Pruning means removing what's holding you back. Pruning is not always about bad things. Sometimes it's about good things that are no longer God things. It could be old habits, toxic relationships, distractions, comfort zones, pride, fear, and doubt. In Hebrews 12:1, it says, Therefore we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witness, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us. Notice it says weight and sin. Some things are not sin, but they are slowing you down. If we look at Abraham in Genesis 22, God had asked Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. Isaac was not a sin, but he became something Abraham could hold too tightly. God was testing him. He was testing Abraham's priority, his trust, and his surrender. Sometimes God will ask for what you love to make sure you love Him more. Staying connected to the vine is everything. You cannot grow disconnected from God. In John 15:5, it says, For without me you can do nothing. Not some things, not a few things, but nothing. If we look at Peter in Luke 22 and John 22, he walked with Jesus, but then he denied him 3 times. That failure was pruning. Jesus didn't discard Peter, he restored him. Disconnection led to failure. Reconnection can lead us to our purpose. Peter went from being fearful to bold. He went from denying to preaching. Growth requires letting go of things. You cannot grow while holding on to what God is trying to remove. In Ecclesiastes 3:6, it says, A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to throw away. We can look in Ruth's life. Ruth had to leave her land, had to leave her past, and leave comfort to step into purpose, provision, and legacy. Her pruning led her to Boaz and into the lineage of Jesus. God is saying, make room for what I want to do next. Pruning produces greater fruit in our lives. God doesn't prune empty branches. He prunes fruitful ones. Why does he do that? Because he sees more in you than you see in yourself. John 15:2 says, Every branch that bears fruit he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. It goes from good to better to greater. We can see in David's life, David was anointed king but sent back to the field, then hunted by Saul. There was years of delay. That was pruning. God was developing David through humility, dependence, and leadership. Before God gives you a crown, he prepares your character. Don't resist the pruning process. The biggest mistake is fighting what God is trying to remove. Sometimes we pray, God, grow me, but when he starts pruning, we say, God, stop. In Isaiah 64:8, it says, But now, O Lord, you are our Father. You are the clay, and you are our potter, and all we are the work of your hands. You can't ask God to shape you and then resist his hand. Your future is on the other side of the pruning. What feels like loss is actually preparation. What God removes today makes space for what he releases tomorrow. In Romans 8:28, it says, And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God. A tree that is never pruned looks full but produces less fruit. A prune tree, though, looks cut back but produces more. Don't judge your life by how it looks in the cutting season. Judge it by what it will produce next. Ask yourself today, what is God trying to remove from your life? What are you holding on to that God already told you to release? Are you truly abiding, or are you just visiting God occasionally? If God is pruning you right now, that means he hasn't given up on you. He sees fruit in you and he is preparing you for more. Pruning is proof of your purpose. Remember, God prunes not to hurt you, but to grow you. Some things must be removed for greater fruit to come. Staying connected to God is the key to real growth. Let go of what is weighing you down, such as sin and distractions. What God cuts today is making room for something greater tomorrow. If you enjoy this message, click like and subscribe to learn more.